So hey, I'm gonna tell you guys about the first 5 cars that I bought and sold, and how badly they went. And I'm starting this channel to kind of, at least at first, document my process of learning to buy and sell cars. But I didn't come up with the idea until after these first 5 cars that I done. So I'm just gonna go over those first 5 in this video. It'll be my first video on this channel. So the first car I got was a 2002 Pontiac Firebird. It was automatic. It had T-tops. Nice color, as you can see, this burgundy color. It looked awesome. And bought it for $1,400. I needed a lot of stuff done. I picked a car that needed too much work, to be honest, but it was my first one. I didn't really know what I was doing. I replaced the back bumper. Painted the new one. I got it from a pick and pull. There's a couple other dents I just popped out and repaint. There's a dent in the hood that I bonded up and then painted the hood. And I replaced the water pump. That was really easy though, because there's about a mile of room in between the engine and the radiator, so you literally don't have to remove anything on this car to get to the water pump except for the pulley, and then except for the belt and the pulley that goes over the water pump for the belt. So that was easy. And that ended up going really good. And it was kind of a cool car, fun car to drive around too, taking the T-tops off and everything. I always thought those cars, I remember looking at like the cars like that when I was a kid and thinking they were really cool, so that was pretty cool being able to own one and drive one for a little bit, even though it was just automatic. But sold for $3,000. I made about $1,200 profit, which was, I was so stoked. It was my first car, it was awesome, even though I had to put a lot of work into it. And I had also to replace the gears for the motors that lift the headlights up in the front, which turned out to be a pain. I read it over and over again until I found that the gears I ordered from eBay were slightly too small. Actually, I was so pissed. But a chick bought it less than 24 hours after I put the ad up. She didn't try to negotiate at all, just paid the full price, made $1,200, went awesome. The next car I got, I actually got this car because I just wanted to get one. I was watching Top Gear a lot, one of my favorite shows, the BBC one, and Jeremy Clarkson mentioned how the old 3 Series BMW is really cool. So I started looking at them, and I was looking at, I found this E46 one. It was a 325 CI. It was a stick shift, and it had you listed it for $2,500. It had about 180,000 miles, and I didn't realize actually how much those sell for. They sell for like a lot over Blue Book, and if you have like nice rims and nice looking one, it'll sell for a lot more. And if it's a stick shift, of course. But anyway, it had an overheating problem. It said in the ad, but he had an estimate printed out from a shop. Said it just needed a cooling fan, and you could get a cooling fan on eBay for under $100. I looked up before I went and looked at the car. And I went there. I needed the front bumper painting because it was a slightly different color. And then the passenger window regulator needed to be replaced because the window didn't work. And the overheating problem, ended up needing a thermostat too. That was like the real reason. It was because it was overheating like really quickly. But anyway, that car ended up being a blast to drive. I had to put a lot of work into that one too, but I didn't mind because I got to drive it, and obviously it's a really nice looking one, and I think it had a limited slip differential because I took it into a parking lot before I sold it and did a bunch of donuts and like little drifts and stuff, and it went sideways really nice. And I took it on a nice windy back road too. It's like second gear the whole time. It just handled so well. I don't know if it was lowered or if it was just those bigger rims, but it handled really well. Like it was scary how well it handled with those and it had really good tires and everything. And that one went really well too. I sold it for $3,500. This one also sold in less than 24 hours after I put the ad up. I didn't realize how much these sold for, and I thought with the high mileage and the big chunk at the seat, I didn't. But these cars are just so popular. The guy was really excited to buy it. I probably could have sold it for a little more, but it's good to get rid of them quick. I priced it for about $500 over what the Kelley Blue Book private party good value was. which I thought was, sort of a high price, but I didn't really know. And so that one went really well too, my second car. And the next car that I got, this is where it all started to go downhill. I got cocky from those first two, and I found that those BMWs sold for a bit more, so I want to get another BMW, and I got this 5 Series, the 2000, I think it was a 2002, 2001. I had about 130,000 miles, low miles. It was a 540i, so I had the V8, so it was super fast, but I ended up hating it. I sucked with the automatic. Did not have limited slip differential. But anyway, I just needed the rear trunk lid painted, and then like the top one of the rear quarter panels that I painted and faded that out. And the paint job went really bad because I got a spray gun. It was my first time using a spray gun. Ton of orange peel and a ton of drips. It was a lot of work just sanding buff. I had to buy a buffer just to fix that. I didn't have one yet. But yeah, I didn't practice at all using the spray gun before I painted the car, which I thought would be fine. No, it was not. Anyway, I overpaid for this car. I can't remember how much I bought it for, but I know it was way too much. And yeah. So anyway, I did that, and then ended up painting the rims too, which turned out to be a bitch. Way too much work with all the sanding and everything and all those spokes. I'm not gonna do that again, even though they turned out amazing. But and all this stuff started to go wrong with it too. After I painted the rims, it got a bit of a wobble on the freeway when you go about 60. It would shake a little. I don't know if it just, and it didn't do it before, but after I put the wheels back on, it started doing that. I don't know. So that was annoying. And I could have made $500 on it too. A guy offered to buy it and I could have made $500 profit, but I wanted to make at least $1,000 because I put so much work into it, But probably the price he offered me, where I could have made $500, was a bit more than the car was worth. I should have just taken it. I was overestimating how much it would sell for because I got cocky, I got a bit greedy, and I put so much work into it. So I declined that, and then people started just offering me less and less and less, and I kept declining them. And then wishing I had just, accepted the higher offer. And then more stuff started breaking. I had to replace the water pump. Right before the guy that ended up buying it came and looked at it, the windshield wipers ended up breaking, so I had to lower the price. And then literally less than a minute before he was going to buy it, the check engine light came on. Never came on before. That was just my luck, so I had to lower the price more. I had the car for months. It must have taken me at least 4 or 5 months to sell the fucking thing, which was stupid. Even if I was going to lose money, I should have just gotten rid of it, quicker for whatever price I could have got just to get on to the next car. So I ended up losing, like $1,200 or something when I sold that. And then by the time I sold it, I needed the money for something else. So I didn't even get to keep that money for another car flip. But anyway, I ended up getting like $4,400 again. When I got that, I was like, oh, all excited. I can flip another car. So I ended up becoming obsessed and just scouring Craigslist. And I was trying to get a good thing this time. No BMWs, no sports cars. A couple ones I was looking at sold like right before I could go look at them. And then I found this Subaru. And I know this thing sold for a lot. It looked cheap. But it was just the base model. It didn't have the turbo or anything. It was 2002 2.5 RS, but had low miles, 120,000. The guy that listed for $4,400, which I don't know why the fuck I thought this was a deal. I guess I just thought since it looked good and it had this cold air intake and everything, it could sell for a lot more. Which it's gonna raise the value a little, but not that much. And I ended up getting it for $3,700. I should not have bought this fucking thing. You thought I would have learned my lesson with the last car, but I did not. I was trying to buy something good, just like a gas saver car. But I got really I get so excited for sports cars, even though my goal is really to make money, I just get excited for these sports cars and can't help it. So I it had a radiator leak too, which I saw before I bought it, and still was paying $3,700 for it, and I wasn't as good at negotiation then, so I'm sure I could have gotten it for less too, but shouldn't have bought it at all because it had really bad oil leaks, which I saw, and still bought the fucking thing. And of course, right after I bought it, I went to drive it home, started up, and it wouldn't even run right. because it started getting misfires from the oil leaking into the spark plug holes. The valve cover gaskets were leaking so bad. So I ended up having to do a ton of work on it, replace the radiator, and I paid to get a diagnosis done for the misfiring, because I didn't know that much about cars, and it was the stupidest buy ever. And then I put all this work and money into it, and I ended up having to use it for my delivery job because my other car broke that I was using. I had a piece of shit van, and driving the stick shift for work fucking sucked. And I ended up eventually I borrowed some money from my uncle to get another car to replace, to use for work, so I could sell this one. And by the time I sold this car, I probably lost like another $1,000 or something by all the work and shit that I put into it. So I felt fucking so deflated at this point. My flipping career was going terrible. And anyway, with that $2,000 that I got from my uncle, I was planning on just buying a cheap car to use for my job. That was what I got it for. But of course, I'm like, well, or I could, get another car, look for a deal, something I could flip, drive it in the meantime before I sell the Subaru, and then, get another car and then flip and make more money and pay my uncle back. Which was a good idea, would have been a good idea if I knew what I was doing more. But anyway, I found another BMW, this 2004, I think it was, 330i, super clean looking. I ended up getting it for $1,500. It might have been $1,550. It had an overheating problem, and it caught some mileage rollback on it when I did a VIN check. It was like 120, 130,000 miles, but I looked at the VIN check and the miles were really like 160,000. So I got it for $1,500, like 500 less than what we had agreed on. And I was just gonna, when I sold it, I was just gonna write the mileage as like 160,000, what the real mileage were, not mention the rollback. But anyway, of course, it turned out to be a head gasket. And I thought for some reason that you could get a head gasket fixed for like $1,200, maybe if it's a little 4-cylinder car or whatever. But when I got the diagnosis on, just to make sure it was a head gasket, the mechanic told me if he did it, it would be around $4,000. So I started working on it myself and was gonna do it, but these have aluminum blocks, and the head bolts stripped the threads out of the block. And I was gonna drill them myself, and ended up messing that up after all the work I had done taking apart. It was pretty much ready to put back together, and I fucked up the block. So I basically just wrecked the whole engine, and I ended up parting it out because I was maybe gonna just sell the whole car again, but maybe could have made my money back. But I ended up parting it out because somebody offered me $400 for all the seats. Before somebody came and bought the whole car, so I was like, whatever, I parted it. And it took me a few months, but I pretty much made the money back. I paid for the car, but I ended up losing a few hundred really, because the diagnosis I paid for, and then the special tools and shit that I had to buy to do the head gasket job. Even though luckily I never really bought any of the parts, like the gaskets or anything yet, because I was gonna wait. So anyway, yeah, I literally lost money with 3 cars in a row. So yeah, off to a terrible start, but it's going better now. I've done a few now, but I'm making this video after that. And after I sold most of the parts, I got around like $1,500 or whatever back. I still have a couple parts too that I need to sell from it, so if I can get those sold, I'll probably make all the money back. But anyway, yeah, after I ended up getting about a bit over $2,000 I ended up with some money I saved up for my job, and all the parts that I sold. And I still need to pay my uncle back, but rather than paying him back with that, I was gonna get another car to flip, of course, and then pay him back, so I'm not just broke with no car to flip. So my next video will be, you'll see what I get with I think maybe about like, I don't know, $2,300 I would say, I think I had. You'll see the next car that I ended up buying with that.